All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled, My View on Kevin Samuel's Death from a Biblical/Spiritual Vantage Point. His death confirmed the title of one of my previous videos. Okay, so it seems right now that all of the buzz is really centered around the death of Kevin Samuels. Okay, and for anybody who doesn't know, Kevin Samuels was a popular YouTube content creator. Okay, and the content he really did was basically on relationships. Okay, the relationship between black men and black women, right? And he was a real controversial figure, okay? Especially when dealing with the women, okay? Because he said a lot of things that, pretty much go against, today's narrative concerning women. He oftentimes gave a lot of women a dose of reality, okay? Because a lot of women, they live in delusion. But, he was hated by a lot of people, okay? And, did I agree with every single thing that he said? No, okay? But, when looking at his videos, which I've seen a lot of his videos, he did make some, very valid points, okay, that he got hated for, right? But, we're going to touch on a few things here, okay? And, part of what he actually taught as well was, what a high value man really is, right? Now, if you look at some of my earlier videos, I actually made a video concerning, what a high value man really is, according to the Bible, okay? And we're going to get into a few of those verses, here in just a minute, okay? I'm not going to give the full breakdown that I did on the video. You can go back and watch it, but we'll get into a few verses that I actually mentioned in that video. But he spoke on what a high value man really is, and that his definition was really it was really worldly, okay? One of the main things he would always say, a high value man, he had to make at least 6 figures, okay? So, he's putting the value of that man, he's correlating it with a dollar amount, okay? And, that's really not right, okay? That's not what truly gives a man value, so to speak, okay? But, concerning his death and things like that, we'll just, I'll just give my 2 cents concerning, the matter from a spiritual and biblical vantage point. I'm not going to make this video too long, of course. And, let's get into the scriptures and then bring it to a close. Okay? So let's get started. So opening up, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 44, starting with verse 1. And it reads, Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that beget us. Okay. Now I used these verses in the video I was talking about, concerning the high value man. Okay. And I'm going to go over, probably a couple of more that I actually used in that video. But again, the verse reads, Let us now praise famous men and our fathers that beget us. Now, of course, these famous men or these high value men, of course, are our forefathers, okay? And there are righteous forefathers, as we're going to see here in a minute, okay? Verse 2, and it reads, The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning. So the Most High Yahweh got great glory through these men. Okay, he used these men to show forth his great power in the past, in the beginning. Okay, so now that we have that understanding, let's jump down some and let's look at verse 10. Okay, so moving forward, this is verse 10, and it reads, "But these were merciful men." Okay, talking about these famous men, our forefathers. It says, "But these were merciful men whose righteousness hath not been forgotten." So now we see why they were famous men. Okay, it was because of their righteousness. Okay, it had nothing to do with, how much material possessions they had. Okay, that's not what made them famous. That's not what made them high value. Okay, it was their righteousness. Okay, not the riches of this world or material things. Okay, but here again, this is something that Kevin Samuels taught about. A man has to make at least 6 figures to even be considered a high value man. Okay, so again, we went here to show who truly are the high value men, and it's the men that are written about in the Bible, our righteous forefathers. Okay, so from here, let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and let's start at verse 19, and let's see what Yahushua said about, worldly possessions. And it reads, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal." Okay, so the focus should not be, gaining material wealth here in this kingdom, in this world. Okay, because everything in this world is temporary. Okay, it's vanity. It's not going to last forever. Everything in this world is going to come to naught. Okay, so the focus should not be riches now in this kingdom. Okay, verse 20, "But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal." So the focus should be getting those riches in the kingdom, storing up your treasures in the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom to come, right? So how do you store up treasures in the kingdom to come? Okay, you do that by, doing the work. Okay, if you're a brother, you're going out there on the highways and byways, you're teaching your people, you're making your videos and things of that nature. Or you may not even be a brother, you sisters, you're giving your alms, you're following the scriptures concerning how to deal with your husband and your family and things of this nature. Okay, things like this is how you store up treasures in heaven. Okay, so it's ultimately through your faith first and foremost, and then you have your works, which really is the evidence of your faith. And this is how you store up your treasures in the kingdom to come. Okay, so let's move forward. Verse 21, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Okay, so in verse 21, what does the treasure represent? The treasure represents what you value the most. Okay, so it says, "For where your treasure is," or for what you value the most, it says, "There will your heart be also." The heart represents what? The mind. Okay, so where your treasure is, or what you value the most, that's what your mind is gonna always be on. Okay, so your mind should always be on the kingdom and storing up treasures there, rather than storing up treasures here on earth, treasures that are going to get corrupt. Okay, they don't last forever, the same way that this particular world is not going to last forever. Okay, so having said that, how can something that's not going to last forever determine what your value is as a man? Okay, you see that? But again, That's just one of the talking points that Kevin Samuels had, okay, concerning high value men. But that's not what truly makes you a high value man, okay? If you are a man of the Lord, you truly are a man of the Lord and doing everything that you're supposed to do, okay, as an Israelite man, that's what makes you high value, okay? Let's take a look at this. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, starting at verse 24. And it reads, "By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter." Verse 25, it says, "Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season." Okay, so we see here the choice that Moses made. He chose to suffer with his people, the children of Israel, rather than to, now look at the end of the verse. It says, rather than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. And that's the point that I've been making. You see, the pleasures of sin is only for a season. It's not eternal. Okay? That's why Yahushua talked about storing up your treasures in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? Because all of this here, okay, all the, the material wealth and, all the things like that, the riches of this world, okay, it's temporal. Okay, it's only for a season. It's going to come to naught here very soon. Okay, so you can't look at those things, the riches of this world and material wealth, to actually place value on you as a man. That's not what makes you a high value man. Okay, even when you read the book of 1 John, chapter 2, starting at verse 15, it tells us to love not the world, neither the things that are in the world, right? For all that's in the world is the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, right? But when you actually, sit down and listen to, the message that, Kevin Samuels was giving concerning the high value man, it was, concerning this world, okay? Being a lover of this world, okay? You pretty much have to, what deems you as a high value man, according to him, is being successful in the white man's society, okay? In Esau's society, okay? But this is what he was teaching, okay? You having 6 figures in Esau's kingdom, that makes you high value. Well, I'm here to tell you, no, it doesn't. Okay. Making it in Esau's kingdom and, trying to be more like him in that, in that respect, that's not what makes you high value. Okay. So now that we've dealt with that, I want to go back to the title of this particular video. And, within this video, I said that, Kevin Samuels' death actually confirmed the title of one of my previous videos, okay? And I'm not referring to the video about the high value men. No. I'm not talking about that. His death confirmed the title of one of my previous videos that was really just a day or two ago, or a couple of days ago, rather, okay? And it was this particular video. And as you can see, the bottom part of the title says most Israelite women are in league with the serpent, Esau, and are enemies of the Most High Yahweh and the Israelite man. And that's the focus right there. Okay. Now, why am I bringing this up? Okay, concerning Kevin Samuels' death. Okay. I brought this out because of the reaction of a lot of women concerning his death, proving that most Israelite women, and of course not all, I know it's not all of you, I have to stress that, but most Israelite women are the enemies of the Most High Yahweh and the Israelite man. That's the point, okay? Because you have a lot of quote-unquote Israelite women that are rejoicing over this man's death, okay? And I mean, they really view this man as their enemy. And this man really hasn't done anything to them, okay? You know, he may have taught something that they don't agree with, okay? And because they are offended at what he taught, now they're rejoicing at this man's death. And they don't see anything wrong with that, okay? This, I mean, I'm going to call a spade. That's wicked as hell, okay? Let's actually get into a couple of verses to show you why I say that, okay? So opening up, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 24 and verse 17. And it reads, "Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth." Okay? And that's exactly what these women are doing. Okay? I already said that, you know, they consider him their enemy. Okay, just look at their reaction, even when he was still alive. Okay, they pretty much hated this man. Okay, and what they'll claim, or what their counter argument would be, well, he hated black women. Well, no, he didn't hate black women. Okay, now a lot of people may not like his, you know, his delivery, the delivery of his message. Okay, but the message itself, you know, for the most part, you know, it was on point. Okay, not every single thing. Okay, but a lot of things that he spoke about concerning women. Okay, and you know, the relationship dynamic, you know, it was on point. A lot of things, not everything, but a lot. Okay. But, you know, not to digress too much, but, you know, you're not supposed to, you know, rejoice at, you know, the downfall of your enemy. Okay. And of course, that enemy being, you know, a fellow Israelite. Okay. As we're going to get into here in a minute. Right. So from here, let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 8 and verse 7. And it reads, "Rejoice not over thy greatest enemy being dead, but remember that we all die." Okay, and there goes the point. Okay, you have a lot of women, you know, not all of them, but you have a great deal of women, you know, that are rejoicing over the fact that this man is now dead. Okay, because they see him as an enemy simply because of the message that he was giving. Okay, but you know, that's going off. You're not supposed to rejoice over your greatest enemy being dead, and they viewed him as being their greatest enemy. A lot of them did. Okay, and why should you not have this mindset of rejoicing over your greatest enemy being dead? The Bible, it goes on to say what? But remember that we all die. Okay. Don't think for 1 second that you're not going to have to go down this road as well. Everybody dies, okay? And don't think that you're so high and mighty that you're not going to die anytime soon, okay? Because the Most High can bring judgment upon you as well any given moment, okay? But seeing the reaction of a lot of these women, it goes into that pride that a lot of Israelite women have, that pride, that hardiness that's spoken about in Isaiah chapter 3. Okay, they're chock full of pride, and as we know, that pride goeth forth before destruction, as the Bible says, right? So from there, let's go here, and this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 10, starting at verse 6, and it reads, "Bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong, and do nothing at all by injurious practices. So off rip, we already see the beginning of the verse says what? Bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong. Okay? So let's say, even just hypothetically speaking, let's say that his whole message, it was wrong. Okay? The Bible is telling us not to bear hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong. Okay? And that's exactly what a lot of these women are doing. Okay? You're not supposed to bear hatred towards this man simply because of the message that he was given, that you were offended at. Okay? You're rejoicing at this man's death, and the Bible is clearly speaking against that. You're not supposed to rejoice over the death of your neighbor, your fellow Israelite, okay? Even if it was your enemy. Okay? So now, I mean, the second half of the verse says, and do nothing at all by injurious practices. Okay? Now, what is the word injurious really going into? Okay? It means to cause harm, okay, by malice or things of this nature. Now, that harm doesn't have to be physical. Okay? That harm could actually be verbal as well. And that's what a lot of women are doing now, that this man is dead. Okay? You know, they're bringing harm, or they're bringing defamation to this man's name. Okay, they did it while he was alive too, but now they're really doing it since he's dead. Okay, so moving forward, this is verse 7, and it reads, pride is hateful before the Most High and man, and by both doth one commit iniquity. Okay, so again, why did we go to this verse concerning pride and how the Most High hates pride, and man too? Okay, it's because of the mindset that a lot of these women are having concerning his death, Kevin Samuel's death. Okay, they have a lot of pride. Okay, remember what we already read in the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 8th chapter. Okay, it said not to rejoice over thy greatest enemy's death, right? But you have to remember that we all die. Okay, but the pride that a lot of these women have, they're not even thinking about that. Okay, and you want to know the crazy thing about this whole situation? A lot of these women who are rejoicing over the death of Kevin Samuels, I guarantee you, a great deal of them probably proclaim to be so-called Christians. Okay? And again, what does the Bible actually tell us? Okay? The Bible tells us that you are supposed to love your enemies, right? And it's just so telling that they get amnesia and forget this particular verse when it comes to their fellow Israelite man. Okay? But if you take brothers such as myself or any other brothers in the truth that tries to explain to them the up and coming judgment that's going to come on all the other nations for what they did to us, especially if you say that about Esau, okay? These women will be the first to pull this verse about loving your enemies to try to justify, not hating those other nations, or not, or trying to save those other nations, okay? But they suddenly get amnesia and forget this verse when it comes to an Israelite man. Okay, it's just very telling to me. Okay, but anyway, let's actually go to the verse. Okay, so this is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, starting at verse 43, and it reads, Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. Verse 44. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. And pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Okay, so we see in verse 44 that Yahweh Shai is instructing us to love our enemies. Okay, despite the fact if they curse you, if they hate you, if they despitefully use you and persecute you, despite all that, you're supposed to love your enemies, right? Okay, and like I said before, this is one of the go-to verses that a lot of people, and these women in particular, they'll run to try to justify, saving the other nations or not having any sort of ill will towards the other nations, especially Esau, the white man. Okay, you better not have no ill will towards him. Okay, but they suddenly get amnesia about this verse when it comes to another Israelite man. And this verse is really talking about the Israelite man. This has nothing to do with the other nations. You're supposed to love the enemies of your people. Okay, the enemies of the children of Israel. Okay, that's what that's talking about. Okay, you can't. Again, if this was talking about the other nations, then that really would be a contradiction. Okay, because when you actually go into the Apocrypha tells us to never trust our enemies. Okay, so we're not supposed to trust our enemies, but these same exact enemies, we're supposed to love them. Are you kidding me? I mean, there's so many verses that actually cut that ideology. Okay, and here again, just to give you another example, I mean, of course, just look at the story of David and Saul when he was king. Okay, Saul had become the enemy of David. Okay, and they were both Israelites. Okay, and David, he had the opportunity to retaliate and actually kill Saul. Okay, but he didn't do it. Okay, that's him showing love for his enemy, which was a fellow Israelite. Okay, but anyway, I believe this is actually a good place to end this particular video. And again, the title of this video is My View on Kevin Samuel's Death from a Biblical and Spiritual Vantage Point. His death confirmed the title of one of my previous videos, right? But like I said from the beginning, this is pretty much the buzz everywhere right now, the death of Kevin Samuels. Okay, and his death, it actually shows the nature of a lot of people, and not just women. Okay, it was a lot of men that actually hated him too, believe it or not. But again, the women aside, looking at what he taught concerning, what brings value to a man. Okay, what makes him high value. Again, he said it was, just to start with, he had to make 6 figures, okay, amongst other things, right? But again, the things of this world, the riches of this world is temporal, okay? That's not what gives you value. And now that, Kevin Samuels is gone, he's back in the spirit world, and all his worldly possessions he can't take with him. He did not take with him, right? Those things are still here on the earth and, deteriorating, because all those worldly possessions, those things are temporary. Okay, it's vanity. Okay, this is why you have to store up your treasures in heaven. Okay, your mind has to be on the kingdom to come, which is far, far better. Words can't even describe how much better. Our kingdom to come is going to be, rather than this pathetic kingdom that Esau has control over right now. Okay, Esau's kingdom is pathetic. Okay, so don't focus on, becoming high value here in this world. Okay, that's given into the hands of Esau right now. Okay, so with that, and as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Ruach Kodash. I want to thank all you brothers and sisters for tuning in. I hope this video was informative and edifying. And until next time, Shalom, family.